I don't ever remember not being with a pencil or something like that. It started with me as a baby. My father was talented in art. Yeah, I would draw soldiers and sailors and things like that, and horses, whatever I could draw, you know. And I enjoyed it very much, and I spent all my spare time drawing. I got out of the Navy in '55. I was in from '51 to '55, and I went to John McCready Art School for 2 years, and I was anxious to get started. And this place came open on Rolland Street, and I was in there for 10 years, and I then signed a contract with one of the better known organizations and worked with them for a number of years. And then finally, I just decided there was no need in my having to split 50% of what I made with them anymore. And the watercolor is definitely the hardest medium of them all. For one thing, it's hard to correct watercolor. You know, if you make a mistake in it, you pretty well are stuck with it unless you can figure out something to cover it up. And that was something that, you just wanted to be careful not to make any mistakes. But for some reason, I was strangely attracted to it. And I got where when I would go home and after dinner and everything, I would work in watercolor, and I got pretty good at watercolor. You have to think of creative things on your mind. I mean, you can't just go and not have any thoughts in your mind of what you're going to do. You have to think about what you're going to do ahead of time. And I always do that. I start out with a drawing, how to do what I'm going to do all these paintings. And then I use that as a guide for the painting itself. Most of these things you've seen in, I either made them up or I saw them, but they're not exactly what I saw. And for the sake of composition, that was one thing that Mr. McCready was very, very strict about, was composition, drawing and composition. And of course, he was a great painter himself. And that's why I do my little line drawings or pencil drawings beforehand, to get established where I want things to be in the painting. And even when I'm painting, I may change things. Most scenes that you look at are not composed properly. So you have to change something in them to make them properly composition, because if you see something that's not composed well, it's not going to look right to you. Even, maybe you know anything about art, but you'll know that it doesn't look right. You want to try to do things that are creative but different as much as you can. And that's what I try to do. And I mean, I think my work looks like me. I don't know, maybe somebody thinks it looks like somebody else, but that's what I do. It's exhilarating to paint, it really is. And when you first start out, it's kind of monotonous because it's very simple, but when you get more involved in creating shadows and things like that, it becomes pretty challenging. So it's a difficult living, but it's also a very interesting one.